Okay, guys, we're going to be breaking down Tesla today and how this may line up against Ethereum, Solana, all your crypto goodies that I think you guys are going to love. My name is Paul Barron. Welcome back into Tech Path. We'll dive into all of that today in comparison because a lot of people have been looking at the performance of Tesla over the last few days and weeks. And of course, a lot has been happening. So we'll get to it. I do want to thank our sponsor, and that is iTrust Capital. If you guys are looking at long-term holding of your Bitcoin, your Ethereum, your Avalanche, any of your altcoins, you can do that in a crypto IRA by just going over to itrustcapital.com. And of course, you can get into gold, silver. You can go into a whole slew of altcoins. Best thing is if you have an existing IRA, you can also do a transfer over to iTrust. It's very easy and simple. Make sure and contact them. They'll walk you through the process. Use our link down below. That's going to give you a $100 funding reward if you decide to go this direction. So check it out. It does help the channel. All right, so let's get into a couple of topics here today. I want to look at Tesla in general. And what you're looking at right now is a pretty significant move here recently. If you go back here around mid-June, where stock was trading around 170, now up to where it's clipping to the 260 mark into another buy zone, which will be interesting to see how this plays out right now. But Tesla overperforming, obviously, for many of the performance reasons we've seen in terms of deliveries and things of that nature. There are a handful of other things that Tesla has been, I won't say leaking, but have been talking about. And whether or not that gives any kind of indication of whether we're going to see continued movement on this stock in the positive session and it becomes kind of the next NVIDIA, still up for grabs, we'll see. If you look at their vehicle production deliveries, this, of course, was the most recent second quarter data. Production versus the previous, you see the Model 3 and Y. Deliveries were up quite a bit here, up 2%. Other models still up a little bit. So overall, not bad performance. I think that was the reason, obviously, we saw a big push on Tesla. And of course, you have to remember that what we're dealing with is a very unique position, again, because there's been a lot of companies that continue to, I won't say pull back, but are at least slowing down their electrification strategies, including Ford and others that have been out there doing this. And Tesla seems to be in the position right now of doing some pretty good stuff. Now, if you look at their revenue, you can kind of see here that it started to stabilize, but it is holding, around 94, 95 billion. Not bad in terms of comparison year over year. The quarterly revenue still around the 24 billion or so. If they can top that 100 billion mark, I think that will be a pretty significant uptrend for them. If you look at the year over year quarterly growth, it's actually slightly down. Now, many people might say, well, that's because of what we're seeing right now in the economy, everything from jobs to a lot of pressure because of inflation, et cetera. I would agree with that. Cars have taken a pretty significant hit across most of it. If you look at the stock price, just in the 14-year split history, there was 2 splits on Tesla right here, and that's, of course, was the primary issues for those stock fall-offs right there. I'm going to go to a clip real quick, and this clip is an analyst that's taking a look at whether or not Tesla is still a good bet. Take a look.
Joining us right now is Tony Sacconaghi. He is Bernstein's senior research analyst. He actually rates Tesla underperform with a $120 per share price target. Tony, I'm looking at it. Tesla is almost at 150 or 250. That is so far above your price target. What do you do at this point?
This is a company whose deliveries were down 5% this quarter. They were down 9% last quarter. It's trading at 125 times earnings. And there's anticipation about a robo-taxi event in early August. And so we could continue to see some momentum in the stock, but this is meme-like, quite frankly. The valuation is disconnected from the fundamentals. The company was supposed to earn $7 in earnings this year. Consensus estimates are now $2. But at this point, we don't see that. We believe that autonomy is a ways out, and we don't believe that Tesla will uniquely solve that problem. Tesla has not done any public trials, and you have to almost believe that to get to the types of valuations that Tesla stock is currently trading at.
I would agree with him to a certain extent, and that is, we've done videos on Tesla for many years here on the show. I did an analysis probably 3 years ago on Tesla's full self-driving, and whether or not it was going to make it into autonomy. I was much of a bull at that case. I got a chance to, of course, experience full self-driving in a big way. It was going to be light years away, and we could tell that. It did improve, in fact, prove that our position was a little bit overstated at the time, because I thought it was going to be much faster. I think a lot of people did. But I think Elon is a great salesman, and he does a great job in being able to sell what the future might hold. And again, this event for a robotaxi event in August could be enough to keep the stock high enough. Now, if you look at other traders out there, expert traders in the market, you got to look at Nancy Pelosi. Is she holding Tesla right now? No, she's selling off about 500,000 in Tesla stock. She is buying, though, Visa, Broadcom, and also, buying NVIDIA and Broadcom and selling off Visa. So NVIDIA, of course, right now, almost at the top right now in terms of the overall. So what does Nancy Pelosi, our #1 investor in the world, have to say about that? This is one to watch. Other things that are happening with Tesla that could cause a little bit of a pump is you've got Elon and Trump starting to talk. So if Trump gets in the White House, could there be some favoritism to Tesla, or at least recognition of Tesla? Remember, Biden has pretty much shunned Tesla in terms of their position in electrification of vehicles here in the United States. But you know, the charging network, which is still, I think, and has proven to be one of its powerful assets, if you compare to what Ford has been able to do. I've seen story after story of the Ford Lightnings having problems out there within the charging networks, primarily because of some of these charging networks that don't get in there. So maybe this is a position politically for electrification, even though Trump has not been a big proponent of electric vehicles. Maybe there is a little bit of truce coming between those two. Other things will move into where the election may be going, and this is something that we're looking at right now. Obviously, Biden's dropout percentage is starting to fall, meaning he's going to stay in the race. After the interview we saw this weekend, it looks like Stephanopoulos was able to kind of position enough to get the president back into a comfortable position of people believing that he's willing and ready to go into this race. So Polymarket see it as him dropping below 50% right now in terms of the chance. So if the chance continues to drop all the way back, last time we saw it, which was back here in June, prior to the debate, it was around 20% at that time. So if we get back into the mid-30s, I think we're probably going to see Joe Biden on the ballot in November. Other things to look at right here, TYT. You guys know this. This is a fairly left-leaning political, pundit site out there. We love Shank. It's interesting that Polymarket is now sponsoring that. Now, granted, there's a lot of predictive analysis in Polymarket, that being, we've talked about here on the show. But here's a little clip from Shank actually talking about this. Take a look.
Super last thing is the polls and the markets, right? So Polymarket, there are sponsors, so I keep checking in on them, but I'm genuinely fascinated by that market. Okay, they had chance of Joe Biden dropping out at 8% just like 2 weeks ago or something, and I was like, that's way too low, preposterously low. But hey, it's the prediction market. People are putting their money where their mouth is, and I just thought they were wrong, right? And that's why the markets are interesting.
So you got Polymarket out there, continued to drive it home, and Cenk was talking about it quite a bit. In fact, there's one right there. There was one ad going to get drug tested. These are the kind of things that, potentially are, and you guys know a little bit more about Polymarket if you've been watching it. It continues to climb up the charts here. Open interest is still performing at a high level. So most likely this is still becoming one of the most truthful areas of what we've seen out there when it looks at prediction markets overall. So I think death to the polls are coming soon. Other things right here, prediction market and community notes are becoming the two flagship social epistemic technologies of 2020. This came in from Vitalik, and even Elon came in and said, yeah, I think so. I think you're right. And with Elon, does he really understand what he's agreeing to there? Because that's an intriguing statement considering that X is kind of the alternative to that. So it's an interesting point. I want to go to another clip real quick. This gets into a little bit more detail around Polymarket being more truthful maybe than Twitter. Take a look.
There, right? And it's hard for people to know what is true. You have kind of corporate media narratives, You also have social media narratives, and the X algorithm doesn't do people any favors, and it often kind of it showcases what's popular rather than what's true. Will Joe Biden drop out in 2024? Again, I think is a great example, because if you look back then, what the media was saying, what most people were saying, and what the odds were, like, the average person would look at that, about 25%, and say, that's stupid. The market is irrational. Doesn't know, people. It's just crypto bros. But that actually was closer to the truth than what the mainstream was writing, right? And then fast forward to the debate last week, and in real time, when Biden was on air debating, the odds will he drop out actually doubled.
So, and you have to think about this. What he said there, I think that was important, is that Twitter is magnifying what is popular, versus what Polymarket is doing is magnifying what people are willing to put money into. And I think that's the big difference here, and that in its way is really, yeah, that is the truth, because it's easy for you to go out and put a tweet out saying, hey, Biden's going to drop out of the race, but would you be willing to put money on that? In Polymarket, it does resolve in that way. So it does kind of give you an example right here. We're probably going to see quite a bit more activity, but right now we got Trump coming in at 61% right now in terms of the presidential election winner. Biden has come back ahead and rose a little bit here recently. So, but still, we've got Harris there. This is weird that we've got Michelle Obama, Newsom kind of falling out, but Robert Kennedy now making the way. So, all right, so here's Elon asking why Vitalik left Twitter. So whether you think Elon is on point in terms of understanding blockchain and really what decentralized social media is, it's clear, that Vitalik is all in on blockchain, and we understand that. Let's take a look at Tesla's holdings here. Bitcoin, of course, is their only thing that they've been holding right here. You can see it, about 645 mil in value, down a little bit in terms of overall, but they have been selling off, but leveling out. So is Tesla and Elon really interested in crypto? I think that's still the question mark, has been for quite some time. Of course, one of the things you have to kind of consider is Ethereum about to take a move in the next few years to truly have a flippening opportunity. Right now, based on the trajectory, could happen somewhere in January 2027 at the current rate. Now we'll see if we see an accelerant. Further on down here in ultrasound money, you can take a look here on annualized profits. There's Tesla just under Disney, but right now under P&E, looks like Ethereum is still continuing to be the most profitable company out there, or if you want to call them a company, entity. All right, so I want to go over a couple other charts. This is going to get into a little bit more on DeFi Llama. Let's take a look at, here's Solana, for example, fees and revenue. You can still see they are going up. Fees are going up. Revenue also going up. So not bad in the sense that Solana continues to climb in revenue. If you look and compare this over to Ethereum, of course, fees have been going down. Revenue has been holding around 4.81 million right there. So obviously, Solana making money off of their cheap transactions. Ethereum obviously securing the network. That's kind of where the value is. And I think those are, two different use cases. All right, so if you look at tokenized stocks, then Tesla is holding at the number 3 position. Let me kind of zoom in on that for you. Take a look at the real world assets on top treasury products. You can see BlackRock right there. Let me kind of zoom in on that. That's BUIDL, which we've talked about. Again, on Ethereum, almost 500 million right there. So continuing to grow. With that, you have to think about other initiatives out there. One, of course, we've talked about before is Jupiter. Market initiative, a lot happening, including stocks coming in on Jupiter. So that's something to be aware of with Tesla, if you in fact do believe Tesla is going to be one of your bets. Another thing I want to hit on, just remember, we actually did a full video on this right here with Avalanche, another project that was kind of pushing the boundaries of tokenization, would agree. And this was Republic Note. We did a full video on this, breaking this down. This is something that BlackRock is very, very big on, and I think this is going to be a potential future here for what we'll see coming in as well on chains like Avalanche. And of course, Republic launches their profit sharing. This is a whole thing that was launched on the Avalanche ecosystem. You guys remember this. You probably remember seeing this site right here with Note. This is one of the only places that you can get a tokenized security of, guess what? SpaceX right there, holding it at 3.3x on gross. So just intriguing in the sense that we're going to see a new financial sector start to really come out of this. So the traditional, S&P 500, traditional securities that you're aware of and are probably used to it, I think this is something that is a new dynamic that a lot of people are starting to understand, where blockchain plays a huge role going forward. And of course, obviously, the big ones that we talk about are Ethereum playing a huge role in this. And right there, AWS, future is Web3. All right, so let's go take a look at the charts real quick. If you can take a quick look at Solana, continuing to move up the marks here. I think right now, if you look at positions and you are trying, if you said, hey, I'm going to start today and I'm going to invest in either Solana, Ethereum, Avalanche, or Tesla, based on Tesla's position, I would probably short that position with Tesla just because of the stellar climb that they've had. Will they be able to succeed through this next phase? Sure, if Elon drops a bomb in August and has done something with, a true robotaxi fleet, or it has a robotaxi unit, that could really change things pretty dramatically. Now, at the same time, if you look at where Solana and Ethereum and even Avalanche are to a certain extent, still a better bet, I think, if you're looking at, in that 1 to 5 year investment range. And of course, right now, Solana been moving up a little bit on the charts, up around 4% on the day. Avalanche kind of in the same position, also up slightly after bottoming out around 21 bucks. So that would have been a great buy. Now, ETH, though, I think is one that continues to move. The thing with ETH, though, that concerns me a little bit is whether or not we'll see the scale in which we'll see on Avalanche or Solana. And I think that's kind of the bet. If you want to go with something that is just super secure and consistent, then it's probably an ETH play. If you're wanting to go with something that's a little bit more innovative and advanced and possibly get you a more X return, maybe it's a Solana or Avalanche play. I don't know, but at least that's the way I look at it. All right, so if you're not in the Diamond Circle, get in right now. It's a great place to get additional content. We've launched our communities over there, so those are available to you. If you've signed up the Diamond Circle, you can get into those communities now when you go into your console and your products. You'll be able to get into any of those, including Mastermind, the MSI members, any of you guys, all available there. We're doing a lot more content drops in there as well, so make sure and jump in on. The community's actually just launched this week, so make sure and take part of that. Of course, if you're not following me on X, get out there. It's just @PaulBaron. We'll catch you next time right here on TechPath.